Superbee update. So we have all of the Speedtech chassis installed into the car for right now. We might drop it back out when the motor comes, but we're going to move on to brakes. Now, this car has the C7 Corvette hubs on the front. For the Speedtech chassis, there's a few different brake options, and obviously we went with the Wilwood stuff. So you can see our front disc brakes. Look at those massive rotors, the hats, the brackets, the hardware, pads. Mike also helped me out and got me a set of street pads and an extra set of track pads. There's our rear caliper, our rear rotors, the brackets. There's our brake bias with our master cylinder. Now on these rotors, there are actually a little arrow that tell you which way they rotate. Now what's actually different on the calipers, in case you're curious, you can see how that one piston there is a lot bigger than the other two. On the rears, they have the same part number, but you can see the pistons are the same size. Fitted the caliper bracket to the knuckle. There's one shim in between here and here. A rotor here and our hat. You can see the threads and stuff there. These will pretty much sit on there like that. Here's our hardware kit. We'll put some red Loctite on this and torque it down. Okay, so we have the rotor installed. We have a couple nuts holding it tight. We lubricated our stud, and we have a couple shims on there. Caliper mounted on. We have a couple of lock nuts here. What we're going to check is to make sure that the rotor is centered in the caliper, which it is. Also, we have to make sure that the large piston is going at the exit end of the rotor in the way that it spins. So obviously the wheel spins this way. We want the large piston up top, which if we look in there, it is. You actually have to take the caliper off to put the brake pads on. There's a couple pins, you slide them out, and you slide everything back together, put it all on. And then after it's in, you just make sure that your pad in your rotor, it comes all the way up to the end, which it does. So we are installed. Also still have to get our brake hose, which will go to the back right here. And Wilwood also gives me part numbers and everything I may need for other accessories and the instructions. Now we'll move on to the rear, which really is the exact same thing, only the rear has a parking brake system. Brakes, we have the bracket on the back. The difference on these take these big shims, and then we can put the calipers and stuff on. And once again, we have our rotors assembled and ready to go on. Okay, so we're putting the caliper on. We're checking for fitment. You can kind of see here, the rotor is touching the caliper, so we just have to put some more spacers right here, and that'll take that gap away. Pads in the back calipers, we just take out this bridge and we can slide the pads in and out. And just like that, the rear brakes are done. We also need to get brake hoses for it, but they're installed, so one more step closer. Next up is the master cylinder. Now this is the brake biased. These master cylinders were actually attached right here in the front. We might get a little crazy and modify something though, but you can see kind of an idea where those reservoirs are. That's going to be for a later video, so stay tuned for that. Save your instructions. It has all of your replacement parts that you may need in here for your part numbers, replacement, brake pads, fluids, lines, all that stuff is in here.